You're listening to Blue Collar Takes with your hosts Pat and Ben.
Welcome back, everybody. Pat, what's up, man?
Hey, Ben, what's happening?
I've been waiting for this one. We kind of teased it at the end of our last episode, and here we are.
Yeah, this is a good one.
This is fucking insane. I'm going to preface this, and then I'm going to let you go. We had talked about the conspiracy of Biden being dead with the medical event and sources in Vegas, Metro PD, with the medical event on the 15th. Remember all that?
Oh, yeah.
We talked about that a couple episodes, 3-4 episodes back. After I read the entire article you sent me, I'm thinking, wow, this guy has a lot of the same reporting that a lot of other people were putting out at the time. So, this is crazy. Now, we had Biden do disastrous in the debate, right? And all of a sudden, everybody's like, "Oh my God, he's fallen off. He's dementia-ridden, right? Too old to be president, and he's not going to beat Trump. We can't have him as a candidate, right?" He came out a couple days after the mad pressure was getting put on him about being too old and he needs to step down, step aside, pass the torch, pass the mantle, whatever. And he came out and said, no, he's not going to step aside. He's not stepping down. He is the candidate, and he intends to win. He had a bad day, right?
Mm-hmm.
And a couple days later, he came back out and said that there were strong forces trying to push him out of the race behind the scenes, and that his intention was to fight. And then it was the very next day, the letter was drafted, right? So that was, I mean, relatively like boom, 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 right on top of one another, almost in like consecutive days. And then I think the letter was drafted the 16th or the 17th, if memory.
I don't remember the date.
It was very quickly after they claimed he had COVID, right?
Yeah, it was like that weekend. So It was like Sunday.
It was the Sunday, right? Which would have been, I believe, the 17th, because Trump was, or the 15th, because Trump, no, the 17th. It was the 17th. Trump happened on the 13th. We went into that weekend. So it had to be, whatever, we'll figure out the days. Mm-hmm. But it was rather quickly. It was boom, boom, boom that all these things happened. So take us away. I want to, I can't. This is amazing to me, because we called it in previous episodes a coup, and now you're about to relay portions of the coup that we didn't know who was behind it. So go ahead and take it away.
Yeah, so this is from, I can't remember his name.
Hersh?
Yeah, Seymour Hersh. So I want to make sure we get credit to him.
Mm-hmm.
And he wrote an article called Leaving Las Vegas, and it has to do with So after the debate, they started Sunday after all the terrible debate. They tried to get him out in front of people to show that it was just a bad night.
Right.
You know, they said he had a cold. They said it was jet lag. They said everything. He had trained too hard for the debate. So this picks up in Vegas, where he flew back because he had COVID, right, supposedly. But it starts with, sorry, I'm just trying to...
So in Vegas, that's where we got the conspiracy that he had a medical event, because he did. People that were with him, inside sources that were with him, said he was looking really terrible, and they were trying to schedule a ground route with emergency response personnel with law enforcement help to get him to the emergency room at the nearest hospital.
Yep. So this the article picks up. It says and I'm kind of skipping over a lot of it because it just talks about like the debate and how people were kind of taken aback by how bad it was, that they couldn't cover it up anymore. It says on Monday, July 15th, Biden took off on Air Force One on a campaign trip to Nevada, a toss-up state that Biden won in 2020 by a little more than 30,000 votes. He gave a keynote address to the NAACP convention, and then the next day, the president, apparently stricken while campaigning with yet-to-be-revealed illness, broke from his schedule and made a police escort race to Air Force One after initially telling police they were headed to the nearest emergency room. At that point, according to Emily Gooden, a Daily Mail reporter who was in the traveling press pool, the president was deathly pale. And Air Force One flew at max speed to Delaware, where the president has a weekend retreat at Rehoboth Beach.
Yeah, Rehoboth. Yep.
The press pool was told that Biden had COVID. Nothing more was said on Air Force One. After Biden's return to Delaware, the White House told the public that Biden had contracted a COVID infection and would be in isolation. He was said to have an upper respiratory symptoms, a runny nose, a cough, and was fatigued. By Saturday, July 20th, the former President Barack Obama was deeply involved, and there was talk that he would place a call to Biden. It is not clear whether Biden had been examined or just what happened to him in Las Vegas. The big three, the official said, referring to former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, and House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries, continued to be directly involved. So now on Sunday, it says, on Sunday morning, the official told me with approval of Pelosi and Schumer, Obama called Biden after breakfast and said, quote, "Here's the deal. We have Kamala's approval to invoke the 25th Amendment. The amendment provides," that was end quote, sorry. "The amendment provides that when the president is determined by the vice president and others to be unfit to carry out powers and duties of his office, the vice president shall assume those duties." It was clear at that point, the official said, that she would get the nod, that is, the support to run for presidency in the November election. But Obama also made it clear that he was not going to immediately endorse her, but the group had decided that her work as a prosecutor would help her deal with Trump in a debate. Says a key factor to force Biden out of the office by invoking the 25th Amendment was a series of increasingly negative polls on the president's standing against Trump that had been commissioned by the funders, of the official said. The downward slope was increasing. Polling would also be important for the vice president. I was told, and it was agreed, that if the polls did not continue to show her gaining traction, other options would be considered, including an open convention. It says, I was unable to learn if Harris was aware of such conditions or whether she intends to abide by them. The official, who has decades of experience in fundraising, told me Obama emerged as a strong man throughout the negotiations. He had an agenda, and he wanted to seek it through to the end, and when he wanted to have control over who would be elected.
Wow.
A few days after we talked, with Harris getting off to a solid start, Obama and his wife announced their endorsement of Harris and told her over the phone in a staged TV event that they would do all they could to campaign for her and to support her, but she had better perform.
Right. So, I mean, we knew it was a coup. Everybody was talking about it. Anytime that you're... I mean, okay, so let's kick it back. Biden goes through the primaries. He was primaried. Right?
No.
He was not.
No.
So he's just given the nod.
He was given the nod. They rigged everything against RFK, which is why he went independent.
Correct. Yeah, that's right. So, yeah, he wasn't primaried.
Correct.
So he had no opponent.
Correct.
So they're covering down, right? They're not bringing him out on stage to make him go through any kind of primary where you would have a debate against your opponents.
Correct.
Right?
Yep.
Which makes sense, too. You're already the president. You can have a second term. You won the last election. Why would you not just get the nod anyway?
But RFK wasn't the only one.
No, he
We
wasn't.
had Dean Phillips.
Yeah, there's plenty. But even still, I mean, put that aside. Why wouldn't you just put your candidate who's already in the office into the next race?
Because they were all saying what.
Correct.
Right.
That's why. Because he's doing terrible. His polling numbers are terrible. And everybody knows. Everybody knows. Chuck Schumer knows. Pelosi knows. Hakeem Jeffries knows. The media knows. Anybody in his administration. Kamala knows. Everybody knew that he was dementia-ridden. Everyone.
Yep.
So, it's crazy. Because then it comes out, and they all flip on a dime, right? And they all pretend like, oh, my God, we had no idea.
Mm-hmm.
No idea. No idea that this guy is this far gone. Bullshit. You knew the entire time.
Yeah, everyone knew.
I don't know how you didn't know when us watching every frickin' speech he gives, we're like, yeah, that guy can't even talk. He's got a mouth of golf balls or marbles that he's trying to talk through. He can't finish a sentence. Can't find his way off stage. He can't remember people's names. You know, that black guy over there. That's the type of shit he was doing.
Yeah.
Right? But you're covering down for him. So the funny thing to me, and we knew that it was a coup that was taking place because they couldn't beat Trump with this candidate. They know that. So they have to get somebody else in, Kamala or maybe somebody else. Who knows? The funny thing to me is to push him out, they're going to use the 25th Amendment. Why is he still president?
Right.
This is the most disingenuous thing I've ever heard.
Mm-hmm.
They're so... And this just tells me that, again, he's an empty vessel and somebody's pulling the strings, and it's got to be Obama, obviously.
Well...
This is telling me that it's Obama because the former president can call the sitting president and say, hey, you're not going to run or else we're going to use the 25th Amendment. We have Kamala on board. And I've talked to the party leaders of the Democrats, and they're on board too.
So I don't think it's that simple. We saw the letter, right?
Mm-hmm.
That it was a different signature. It was on personal letterhead. It wasn't on POTUS letterhead.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think Joe agreed. And I think they put out that letter, and then they said, your move. What are you going to do now? You're going to look crazy because everyone thinks you have dementia, and now you're not going to remember putting out that letter.
I mean, it could be. It could be. That's a bold move because if he has any allies, if he has any allies left in his administration,
he had his crackhead son.
Just listen.
Yeah.
If he has any allies left in his cabinet or aides or anybody that could say, yeah, I was with him all week at Camp David. He never signed that letter. Anybody that can come out, you immediately start the civil war we're talking about in the Democrat Party.
But remember, nobody was with him at Camp David. It was his brother, his son.
Sure.
And no one was with him that
he's
weekend.
Pulling his allies in close.
Yeah, and it excluded all of his staff, which started pissing them off.
Here's my side of it.
Yeah.
He pulled those people in, his brother and his son, because I'm sure they threatened him. They threatened him that a sitting president, I suppose, could pardon himself, maybe. But he had already said he's not going to pardon Hunter.
Yeah, he will.
He will now. And it doesn't matter. Whoever's coming in is going to do it for him. But that might not have been an option. And on the other side, that might have been hung over his head was what I'm trying to say. Like, Joe, if you stay in and you lose, we're going to let Trump do whatever to you.
Yeah, but if he had lost, he still has 2 months to pardon him. There's no chance Hunter wasn't going to get pardoned.
I agree. Well, just because that comes back to Obama. But, yes, I agree. But you might hang that over their heads. There might be more. We don't know what
could be
dirty
more
shit that they've done. I mean, if he's done this is probably, what do they say? We catch 10% of the crime and corruption, 90% gets through. I mean, that's been floated around with Washington and shit like that. So who knows what they've done? Maybe they're like, hey, you know what? We're going to burn you and your family. Hunter's going to go to jail. Jill's going to get screwed over. We're going to drop every dime we have on you. And we're going to let you burn. Or you sign this document or just get the hell out and turn over to Kamala and go from there.
Yeah, but we have 80 years of signatures and they don't match.
They don't match.
So,
and the government letterhead That's really shady. And
That's what I'm saying.
An ex post.
I don't think it was him.
And maybe not.
And now his closest advisor, you see the story about his closest advisors, like all of a sudden disappeared from the administration?
No.
Well, she was an Obama person.
Yeah,
She's now out.
That doesn't surprise me.
Leading the campaign for Harris.
Kamala. Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. I mean, I think Obama's been probably the president for the last 4 years.
Could be.
He left Washington. He bought a place in Washington. He's been doing that whole thing and he said, do you remember the interview he said, who was he talking to? Stephen Colbert. If I could find somebody that would act as a puppet and I could put an earpiece in their ear. Have you ever seen that?
No.
Keep talking. I'm going to find that clip. And then we're going to go, oh, really?
Well, I think that just supports my theory on the whole letter thing anyway.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, I just don't think there's nothing he could do. And his family knew there was nothing you could do. Once they put that letter out, and he doesn't run the X posts. I think the only politician that runs their own is probably Trump. So it was an aide that was loyal to Obama that went in there and did it, posted it, and that's why it took several days to get an actual speech, because maybe he was going to try to fight it. But I don't know how you can after everyone has unleashed on you.
Okay, this is it. So here it is.
A third term, and I used to say, you know what? If I could make an arrangement where I had a stand-in, a front man or front woman, and they had an earpiece in, and I was just in my basement in my sweats, looking through the stuff, and then I could sort of deliver the lines, but somebody else was doing all the talking and ceremony, I'd be fine with that.
That was on Stephen Colbert, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think he got it. I think he had it. I think Biden fit the bill. He was the front man who wasn't really acting as president because he was an empty vessel that somebody was filling up. I think it was Obama filling that up. He might have, if you think about it, Biden was going into meetings with foreign leaders. They would already be seated. He'd come in, the press pool would be ushered out instantly, and he read from prepared remarks in front of the press pool on like laminated sheets of paper, right?
Yep.
And then after that was done, the press pool would leave, and nobody would see anybody else. I'm certain after that it's not Joe trying to discuss complex issues. The guy can't even fucking make it through a speech and remembers people's names. There's no way he's discussing complex issues or handling complex issues of national security or trade policies or anything, right?
Yeah.
So
I agree.
I would imagine the very easy answer is there's somebody like an Obama figure who was working alongside Joe, drafting those things and doing all the meetings in private, right?
Mm-hmm.
What'll be interesting is 10, 15, 20 years down the road, given wherever this election cycle goes, are we ever going to hear from somebody who's like, yeah, it was Obama the whole time, or yeah, it was, so-and-so the whole time?
I doubt it.
You never know. And
it feels like they're too loyal.
They're too loyal now, but the same can be said
after he dies.
The same. Well, I don't even think it has to be after he dies. I mean, you look at some of these presidents way later in their lives, and you get to hear a lot of stories that aren't great about them, that their aides are releasing. There's a lot of stories about Bill Clinton, the Clinton family, even the George Bush family. The aides and stuff have come out, and there's a lot of stories that aren't great. Eventually, the truth is going to come out, and we'll hear about it. And I think that's kind of interesting to me, because if this is true, what Hersh is saying in this report or this piece that he put together, and he's got some impeccable sources. This is a Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist, right? I mean,
yep.
He's a journalist.
He's a real deal journalist.
He's equal opportunity reporter. He's not just going after Democrats. He will go after Republicans as well. If it's true what we're finding, or what he found and what he's saying, and we're starting to see it, that just leads more credibility to that that point of maybe Obama is pulling the strings. It's not. We know it's not Biden. Can we agree on that? It's not Biden.
Well, I think we've agreed on everything so far.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
even like, talk to anybody who's listening. Can you agree with us that Biden's not making the decisions? You know what I mean? There's no way. There's no friggin' way. Not a chance.
No.
Yeah, and it's crazy because now you have the previous president staging a coup against the sitting president.
Yeah, you and me blackmailed him.
Blackmail. Yeah, blackmailing the sitting president over his cognitive decline that you've known about for 4 years.
At least 4 years.
At least. And not only you've known about it, you're not...
You helped cover it up.
You've covered it up, and you're not removing him from office. He's still the fucking president.
Yeah.
Why? Why are we allowing that? Why has he not? And the answer is because there's somebody behind him filling up the empty vessel.
Right.
Because if they truly believed that he was so impaired that it was a danger that they couldn't have him be the candidate for the next 4 years, why is he sitting there now?
Mm-hmm.
There's no reason for it.
Yeah.
Kamala should be president right now.
Yeah.
And they're not doing it. Which tells me that, again, it leads credibility to what Obama was just saying that I just played with when he was on Colbert. If he could have a front man sitting there and he could say the things into an earpiece and he could write the speeches and he could decide what the situation was and he could do it from his basement in his sweatpants, it would be ideal for a third term.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they found out how to do it. They found out how to make it happen. Why ever? I mean, every other president ever has rode off into the sunset.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
They leave Washington, they open up their presidential library, and then they retire and they hang out.
Mm-hmm.
Clinton disappears, does the whole Clinton Foundation. He travels around with that, but he's not trying to control things in Washington.
Yeah.
HW, same thing, gone, not trying to come back to Washington. He's on his ranch out in Texas doing his own thing, hanging out with the family. The only one who hasn't done that is Obama. You got your 2 terms, and then you stay in Washington.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Mm-hmm.
What does that say? Why are you in Washington? There's nothing for you in Washington except for political leaders.
Yeah.
So that's a problem. And I think that gives this Hersh article a lot of credibility.
Yeah, it's just weird, like, just thinking about the Washington thing. Like, he's not seen at the White House a lot, right?
Yeah.
So why, I mean, you could do that anywhere. Why be in Washington?
Because you have to have face-to-face conversations. You can't
Yeah,
do
but none of that's, like, you would think some conservative outlet or some of the conservative, like, independent people would be, like, staking out the house, watching people come and go. But now you don't have any of that.
Yeah, but you're not just doing it there. I mean, you're probably
Yeah,
doing
that's
it.
what I'm saying. Why not do it? Why be in Washington? Why not? I mean, Martha's Vineyard's not very far away. You just got a place there. I just don't understand the house in Washington. That's all I'm saying. Like, I just don't understand. Like, you can do that anywhere, the face-to-face. And no one would say anything. Like, oh, yeah, we're friends, so come to our house.
Yeah, but it couldn't be as instantaneous as you needed it.
But it's not now. Like, there's no stories about any...
Yeah, but how are you... Okay, let's kick it back. If the media in Washington, 90%, 95%, run shield for you and cover for you, just like they did for Biden, knowing he was dementia-ridden,
Yeah.
do you think they're going to report that Schumer goes and meets with Obama?
No, but you would think that the other 10% would, and they know what's going on.
I agree. You would
But
think...
you don't see... What I'm saying is you don't see any of that.
Yeah, I mean,
I mean, you hear phone
seen...
calls and all that. Like, I just don't... I'm just saying the whole... Like, what's the point of the house in Washington? You can still meet on the phone. If that's what they're doing anyways. Like, you don't see pictures of Schumer leaving Obama's place. Because he's got a detail. Like, it's going to be clear that the road's shut down, whatever.
I'm just going to throw this out there.
Yeah.
If I'm a deep state player and I'm Obama, and I'm the guy pulling the strings, I don't want to be far away from the heartbeat, right? I want to, even just my physical presence being 5 blocks away, 6 blocks away, even that is probably enough to make people be like, well, he's right down the road. On top of that, having access to him, where you can schedule a meeting and quick run for lunch and say, hey, what do you want me to do about this? What do you want me to do about that? There would be way more benefit and it's not that hard to create clandestine meetings. We've done
No,
that. We've done that for ever. So
Yep.
that's not terribly difficult.
But he's not always in Washington. That's what I'm saying. Like,
No, I agree.
I just don't understand. I'm not saying any of it's like not happening. I'm just saying, like, I don't think you need the house I just don't understand the house in Washington.
I don't know. I mean,
You can do all of that. Like, he's always at Martha's Vineyard, except for in the winter, right? And then he's at his place in Hawaii or in Chicago.
I guess I can't answer that because I don't know. Like you say, he's
it
always there.
just
I don't know.
seems like
I don't know the
weird
amount he is there or he's not there. I can't say he's in Washington more or here more or there more. I can't say any of that. But the guy does he kind of come across like in this article as like a mafia boss?
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean? He kind of comes across as like he's strong-arming Biden out of this.
Well, and I don't think he's not. Like, I think he's doing all those things. I just don't understand the house in Washington.
Yeah, I can't answer it, but to say that maybe it's beneficial, it's got to be beneficial in some way for meetings and maybe just the physical presence of it. I mean,
Maybe it's just for the presence because you would see something about meetings like.
There's been some of him going to the White House and him meeting with people,
Sure.
but not to the degree of control.
But not
the
going
country.
to his place.
Right. I don't know, man.
That's all I'm saying. Like, I just don't understand it.
I do know that during the Imran Awan bullshit, I don't know if you remember who Imran Awan is. Imran Awan was a Pakistani ISI agent that Debbie Wasserman Schultz brought forward.
Yeah.
Debbie Wasserman Schultz brought her forward during the
He's an
Clinton
IT
campaign because he was an IT person. He created the BlackBerries. He created all the stuff, a way for them to communicate that couldn't be tracked. And you know how they were doing it? Through a poker app. So they were playing poker and chatting in the chat text, and that's how they were communicating, and nobody could catch it. So there's ways they could get around it if they really want to. And now one of our guys on this team that we're on sent me information that the FBI is trying to seek a way to get into gaming chats.
Yeah.
Because they want to be able to catch those conversations as well, because they've been outside the reach of the FBI and investigative bodies forever. And that's kind of interesting to me, right? Because if one side does it, maybe the other side's doing it as well. Like, and now the FBI is like, hey, we want to get in on this because we want to see what the other side's saying.
Yeah.
But why not just do that?
Well, yeah, that's my point.
Yeah, I mean, I'm right there with you.
Like,
I don't have an
there's
answer.
so many other ways you could have these meetings, and it's not like you wield less power. Clearly, you have the power because you installed Biden, basically.
And you have your aide who's there controlling things and relaying your
Right.
messages. I don't know.
It's Obama machine, right? They used to call it the Clinton machine.
Yeah, now it's
That's
the Obama.
now it's the Obama
well,
machine.
I mean, Obama's the darling of the party, right? I mean, he's the controller of the party. There's no good answer, right? I mean, I think if you're Obama, you're kind of.
It almost seems like the House is an easy target for that. So it almost seems like if you were to do that, you wouldn't want to have the House.
In
You know
Washington?
what I mean? Yeah.
I think
Because everybody's like, why the fuck are you staying in Washington? What are you doing?
Well, everybody knows.
It just
what
draws
he's doing.
attention.
Everybody knows what he's doing. It's been said aloud, even by members of the House and the Senate on the Republican side. They've been saying it for the last 3 years.
For sure.
Everybody knows it. It's drawing attention to it, but it's not being stopped. And I think part of it is because the levels of corruption in Washington have gotten to the point of where both parties are bought and paid for minus a small percentage of each party, right?
I'm not even sure it's a small percentage anymore that's left. I mean, it's I think it's a smaller percentage. Like
Yeah.
It's
Smaller
tiny.
than what we
Yeah.
believe, right?
Yeah,
And I remember this is probably a year ago. I did a bunch of searching, and I think I had it down to 13 on the Republican side and 2 on the Democrat side, and the 2 are gone now on the Democrat side. So I would have to redo it again and look at it. And I'll be honest, that took me forever. And the way I figured that out was just on policies and voting on self-beneficial policies to figure out, okay, you're obviously an establishment figure voting for pay raises for yourself and for, things like that. Well, others were like, hey, we're trying to balance the budget. We can't vote for this. So it was a real simple, crude format, but it matched up with how they were conducting themselves in hearings.
Yeah.
The Obama thing, going back to the Obama thing, I think he's kind of he strikes me as a playboy. You know what I mean? Smooth, sly, debonair, got a lot of Hollywood elite friends like Beyonce and Jay-Z, and throws these massive parties. Well, even like was it their anniversary or a birthday party during COVID when everybody's locked down, all the celebrities came, didn't have to wear masks, and the hired help
it was
all
an
had
outdoor
to.
event.
Sure, it was an outdoor event, right? Nobody else is allowed to do the stuff that, do as I say, not as I do.
Yeah.
But those are the things that, every time, like, he was, what is that, where they have that annual dinner, the press dinner, and, they come on and he gets up and makes a bunch of jokes. I mean, you always had celebrities from the left in the audience. I mean, you didn't really have that with Trump. You didn't have that.
Yeah, the Correspondents' Dinner.
He comes across, the Correspondents' Dinner. He comes across as a smooth operator, and also you kind of see him as like this mafioso figure where he's the head of the snake right now.
Yeah,
and whether he's got a house in Martha's Vineyard and he's going there, that's probably to entertain, his whoever he has there, his buddies. If he's going to Washington, he's probably pulling strings because something's needing to be dealt with. You also have to remember Joe Biden's daily schedule has him going to bed at like 7:30. So he wakes up at 10 and works until 7:30, and then he's done for the day. And then, remember, that was the joke. Well, what happens if a nuke is launched at 7:45? Who's dealing with it? There's a reason that happens, right? I mean, Biden's schedule hasn't been super taxing or anything for his entire time there. Obviously, he's getting help somewhere else to deal with stuff, but
sure,
I would imagine that gives a lot of time for Obama to go do stuff and appear like he's not part of the apparatus that is still running the country. And this just shows me he is. I mean, if you have the power to push out a sitting president, you're obviously part of that power structure. Now, are you the string puller or are you the mouthpiece for the real string puller?
See, and that's kind of where I'm at. Like, I don't think he had the power to do it, which is why they blackmailed it and then did it and then was like, dude, you're going to look crazy. You're going to look crazier. And then they're going to require.
Yeah, but I don't.
Like, then it's really going to be the 25th Amendment. Then you're not going to have a choice. Bro,
Biden's so far gone right now, I don't think that would resonate one bit with him. He's got moments where you can see him talk, and he's not there anymore.
Sure, but he has other moments where he is.
Sure, but saying that to a guy who's not going to remember, he's not going to remember. You're worried that he would come back tomorrow and be like, no, I never did that. You know what I mean? He wouldn't remember the fact that 2 days ago they fucking made him give up his campaign run. I bet you we still see that in a speech at some point. I'll be your next president. And they're going to be like, Joe, you step down. You might be right. They might have blackmailed him and forced him and said, now go do this. That could be it.
I mean, he was pretty clear on the I'm not dropping out for several days.
Yeah.
Like, he didn't screw that up.
Right.
So, like, I don't think he's that far gone. I think that
he can't find his way off stage, bro. How is he not that far gone? You turn around and take a left. Like, the Secret Service is standing there.
Yes. You know what I mean. He clearly could talk. He could clearly, like, he had moments where he was fine. And that's what I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. Yes, there was very clearly times where he couldn't.
Every time.
Everyone that's not, it wasn't every time.
Okay, it might not be every time.
It wasn't every time.
It might not be every time, but every time that I saw it on stage,
yes. That's because that was every time you saw him on stage.
Yes,
it was a clip on YouTube.
Correct.
That was it.
Yeah,
like, you weren't watching his speeches.
No, nobody's watching the guy's speeches.
Some people are.
Well, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, well,
but.
All I'm saying is that he was very consistent that he wasn't going to, that there was the forces trying to drive him out, and that never changed over the course of what was like 2 weeks. And I don't know. I could see it. I could see that being what happened, that they used it against him, right? Like they shot their shot, and it worked.
Could be. I mean, It could be it didn't have the presidential seal on it. It didn't have
his signature.
Yeah, I mean, it was a signature.
Yeah, it wasn't his signature.
It was a signature.
Yeah, I haven't found anyone that believes that it was his signature.
It was a signature.
Yeah.
But I don't know that they just put it out there and say, now do what you're going to do, Joe. Check. Let's see what you do.
Well, that article makes it sound like that's exactly what they did.
Well, the article makes it sound like here's my take, right? Yeah. The 15th, he has the medical event. There is an absolute medical event. People in the press pool see it. They see that something's wrong. There's an emergency. Mm-hmm. They, instead of taking him to the emergency room where it's going to look bad and it's going to be reported publicly that he's in cognitive decline, even further, they send his ass to some place where he can rest and bring in their own doctors, which they know that they can control, right? That's more likely what's happening. Meanwhile, while all this is taking place, they've probably already had this thing drafted, right? And say, Joe, it's time. And he's probably like, well, I don't know, let me talk with my family. He pulls his family in, and his family's like, it's over. We can't keep doing this. It's over. We got to. That's probably more realistic than the grand conspiracy of they threw it out there on their own, and they're like, okay, Joe, now checkmate. Now, on top of that, you do have Obama coming to him and saying something like, hey, exactly what he says, we're going to invoke the 25th, Joe, if you don't do this, because you're damaging the party, and we can't have it. You're not going to beat Trump. The polling is out. The latest polling is out. Trump's ahead by a ton. We can't hide your decline anymore. You have all the shit with your brother and Hunter in the background. Trump's going to destroy you. You can't go into another debate with it. And all those clips are going to be used against you the entire election cycle. We have to go a different direction. Do I believe that? Yeah, I do. I don't think they came out right off the bat and were like, boom, here's this.
No, the article clearly says it wasn't right off the bat. I think he was still fighting it. And that's when they did the letter. And then at that point it was too late. Because he doesn't have anybody that's really loyal to him. They were Obama's people.
I mean, I don't believe that either. Just because of his time in the Senate, I think Pelosi would have been more loyal to him than she would ever have been to Obama.
She was part of it.
Sure, she was part of it.
Yeah.
But that's because she's trying to save the party, right?
I understand. But if you're part of the blackmail, doing the fake letter isn't that much of a stretch. You're already blackmailing him. That's not that far removed.
Yeah, I know. I just think you're this is where I disagree with you. We're just going to have to disagree, but I don't think you take that chance. You're already going to get rid of him. You can't campaign if you have no funds. All your donors are drying up the funds, so you can only travel so far on your own dime. Your grift as Joe Biden has gotten taken away because Hunter's gotten exposed for everything he's done. You have no money coming in on the illegal side of things anymore. Your campaign funds are drying up faster than – I won't finish that one. Your campaign funds are drying up pretty fast, right? So you can only campaign if you can get from point A to point B. On top of that, you've got all the cognitive decline crap that's going on. To me, it just makes a lot more sense that it's not worth the risk of dropping the letter and then having Hunter or somebody else be like, yeah, my dad wasn't going to resign, and then they did this to him anyway. You don't even want the perception of that out there. If that perception gets out there in the public, if they do that, then you've completely shot your shot and lost, because not only did Trump survive an assassination attempt that people already think it was you in the process of the liberal left trying to get rid of your political opponent. He's gone through lawfare. He's gone through all that other crap that he's gone through, all the frickin' Trump hurdles that have happened. The last thing you want on the left is even the premonition or the thought to be brought out there by Biden or anybody that, hey, they forced me out by dropping this letter and I never signed it.
And you think that's different than blackmail? Because that's now out there.
Blackmail's behind closed doors.
It's not anymore.
Not anymore.
There's a fucking article about it.
Not anymore.
That's
but
not.
They'll just deny it. They'll just say that's not true. They'll say his reporting,
and
his sources are.
What do you think they would have done with the letter? You would have said, hey, you got to believe a crackhead and the guy that can't remember anything?
Sure, but this is a.
I just don't think it's that far removed from the letter and the blackmailing.
Maybe not.
Are basically the same level.
Yeah, sure, but maybe not. But maybe what I'm trying to say is that it's a hell of a risk to drop the letter without the okay from Biden. It's a hell of a risk.
Yeah, so is blackmailing the sitting president.
Yeah, but do you think that's the first president that's been blackmailed?
No,
absolutely
I don't.
not.
No, obviously, right? But what I'm saying is, I don't feel like it's any more risk than what they'd already done.
Maybe not. I'm not going to agree to it. I mean, I can't jump in and be like, this is what happened and they dropped this, and we'll never know, right?
Yeah, it's just there's just too much that he didn't come out for another 3 days after the letter.
Well, if you're sick, I mean, you're sick. That's their.
But
I'm
he
not
had
saying
nothing.
that's what
But
it
he
is,
had nothing. Not even like there was no like picture of him signing the letter. There was there was nothing.
Yep.
And they could have altered the picture so he looked better.
Yep.
Like there was just nothing for 3 days.
Right. Well,
And
that led to the whole, is he live, is he dead, is he...
It comes to the whole, it wasn't his letter.
Maybe.
Because he was still coming to terms with it. Like, he was still trying to fight it, and then finally they realized, like, dude, no one's going to believe you.
Well, it wouldn't matter if...
That you're going to believe the wife that helped you cover it up for how long? Or the kid that's...
A crackhead?
Crackhead?
It doesn't matter. I mean, it's not... It doesn't matter if the left believes you. It matters if the middle and the right believe what you're saying, right?
Correct.
And so we would have believed it. You believe it right now, right? So, I mean, you believe that all this crap took place. We would have believed anything he would have said if he was fighting back and said, Barack Obama threatened me, first off, and they're telling me I can't run as president. It's my nod. I'm going to run. If he would have came out and did that, we would have believed it.
Sure, but we're also not the middle. And we also know that we are very aware of what the mainstream media does, and they weren't going to go after Obama.
No, absolutely not.
So who's going to cover it?
Well, it doesn't have to be covered. It just has to be...
someone's got to cover it to get it out there. Biden's not getting out there. He's not doing speeches. He wouldn't have.
It would anybody from... I mean, fucking Hunter Biden could go on X and drop it.
Sure.
They could leak information
to
to Elon or somebody. It would get out there. It would get out there. Absolutely. There's, as well as I do. Come on.
It would.
There's avenues that it would get out there.
I'm not saying it wouldn't get out there. You know that. I just said that. What I'm saying is they have to believe it. And we're not talking about you and I here. We're talking about the middle.
You don't think they would?
No.
I think they would.
Well, they didn't believe that he was that far gone anyway.
Who?
The middle. Not until the debate. Everybody thought that the altering of the videos and all that shit.
That's pretty...
They all fucking... They were... that was the main thing.
That's pretty broad.
Yes, they said that he was too old, but I don't think they really realized how bad he was.
I don't... That's broad. I mean, I'm not going to paint broad strokes with that brush and be like, yeah, the middle didn't know. There's a lot of people that I work with that are in the middle, that you work with that are in the middle, and they've been saying this for freaking months. So, I mean, that's a small sample size. So, I mean, I've heard people from circles that we roll around who are absolutely middle who've been like, yeah, I've known that he's been in cognitive decline for probably 2 years. So it's not a surprise. I mean, when you say the middle, you're talking about, that's a decent sized number. And I'm not going to say that they didn't know and they wouldn't believe it if they heard it. I mean, you can't say that and I can't say that.
No, I don't know what they would believe.
Right.
But I believe that they still tend to believe the mainstream media. And if they're running cover for Obama like they have forever, I just think that it's plausible. That's all I'm saying. Right? Like it could be.
It could be. And that's where you got to leave it.
Well, yeah, because you're never going to be able to prove it. I'm never going to be able to prove it.
It's never. There's no. I mean,
Here's
it's
what
hard.
we know. It's not his signature. It's not on official letterhead.
It's definitely not on with a presidential seal.
Yeah.
And you're right. He had the medical scare, and then boom, he disappears. I mean, in those 3 days, people were asking if he was freaking even alive.
Even alive, yeah.
There's some who would liken him to Weekend at Bernie's anyway. So, I mean, plausible, yeah. Am I going to get behind it and say that I believe that? No, I don't. I think the more plausible thing is like what I said before is he was obviously having a medical issue. They rushed him away to hide him, to bring in their own doctors, to keep it away from the media, because I don't think they decided yet that he was the candidate or not. And I think it was the last straw. And I think he pulled his family and his allies in close. And I think he probably did get blackmailed into allowing that letter to be put together and put out.
I just think it's funny that you're like, that You don't think it's that far of a stretch from the blackmail to the letter being fake?
I think it's a hell of a risk
How is blackmail not?
because you can't prove it.
Do they literally can't? Just like you can't prove the letter.
True, but have you heard
They
anything?
didn't even try to fucking match his signature.
I don't know.
Like if his signature matched, maybe, but they didn't even fucking try that. They weren't worried.
Well, they don't have to be worried.
They fucking
His
control it
campaign
all.
coffers are drying up and everything's
Yeah.
falling apart for him. But you just gotta the simplest answer is usually the correct answer, man.
Sure.
You look at what happened and you look at how it all went down, right?
Mhm.
And instead of throwing all these theories out there, oh, I think this and this and this, and look at it's not that far of a stretch. That's how conspiracies are started, and that's how they take off. So I'm not about to jump on board with the letter was thrown out there and it was used in advance, and they said your move now, Biden. If you don't agree to it, then you're going to look like a fool and nobody's going to believe you. And I mean, you're killing your own argument right there, because Biden would come out and say, that's not my signature. Look at it. You just said it's not his signature. They didn't even care. All I would have to do if I was Joe Biden is come out and say, yeah, man, that's not my signature. A, that's not me. Look at my signature on last month's document. B, it's not on a presidential seal. C, I mean, it would be so easy to debunk, right? But instead,
And you're proving my point.
I don't see how, but what I think happened is exactly what I said. I think he had a medical event. They brought the horses together.
Yeah, the medical event's not anything to do with the blackmail in the letter, though.
No.
The medical event's what got him there and got him isolated.
Right. And it was
Right.
in that time period
Yeah.
where they came to him and they said, hey, you can't do this anymore. And he agreed. A week before the medical event, I don't think he was agreeing. That's what I'm saying. So, is it conspiratorial what they did? Sure. Is it blackmail? Absolutely. If this is true, if the reporting that we're talking about is true, it's fucked up. What they did should never have been done. It's a coup. It is an absolute coup. I can't get behind the letter thing. And I
Yeah,
guess
it's funny that we can get behind the coup, and we can get behind the blackmail, but not the fake letter. That's all. That's how is that far of a stretch?
I can't.
They've
do it.
already fucking tried to overthrow the president, and they did it.
Yeah, I know.
But
I know.
the fake letter's dude, that's too far.
I'm listening to
That's
you,
too
and
far.
I'm listening
We're
to you,
gonna
and I'm
fucking
like, yeah,
throw Biden out. We're gonna blackmail him with the
I-
25th Amendment, but a fake letter, that's just not a thing.
Well, I don't think you don't have to take that risk. You don't have to.
If he doesn't agree, which is what I think is why it took the 3 days for him to come back out and issue something other than the X post.
Maybe. I just think the simpler answer is exactly what I said, where he's sick and he's there and they're trying to figure out what they're going to do. If they could keep him in the race and string it along,
No, they knew
would
they
have.
couldn't. They
And
knew they couldn't, which
exactly.
is why it was. But even in that article, it says that it started before his trip to Vegas. That they were talking about it,
Well, I
how
think
they were going to get him out.
You have to.
Sure, but then let's not base it on, well, this was just the opportunity. There was just the time.
Yeah, I think it was the straw that broke the camel's back. If you're gonna,
I don't know.
you can't have Biden go to a local hospital and be diagnosed by a doctor at a local hospital of what's going on. Right? Remember they've already said he doesn't have Parkinson's, he doesn't have Alzheimer's, he
Yeah.
doesn't have dementia.
Mhm.
It was just a jet lag and a cold. Right?
Yeah.
They've already said all this shit because they're trying to salvage what they can. In the meantime, they're putting backup plans. It's a PACE plan: your primary, your alternate, your contingency, and your emergency plans. This is what they're doing. They're going down their PACE plan. It's just the simple thing that everybody's been trained to do in federal positions at all emergency levels. They're trying to execute their PACE plan. So eventually, when he has this medical issue take place, they're
Yeah.
like, oh, fuck, we got to hide him, bring our own doctors in. And then that's where it was like, all right, bro, you can't do it anymore. And I don't even know, we're putting a leap of faith into this guy's reporting and the sources that are coming out. And
For sure.
and we don't even know that this is real or this is true. It's an independent source who's a Pulitzer Prize winner who's got sources on the ground. But we don't even know if it's the full story or the real story, the true story, all of it, 100%, right? So
to me, the simplest thing is like, okay, they were getting together and discussing what the hell do we do if he stays in the race and it looks like we're going to get trounced. What do we do? The only option they have is to use the 25th Amendment to get rid of him, so that another candidate can go. Right? If you pull your president out of the race because you're claiming that he can't serve as a president of the United States, he can't campaign in the next election. So
I just think using the 25th Amendment was just a threat. I don't think they could have done it without some serious backlash.
of course they would have backlash.
So that's all. That's why with the fake letter, like, it makes sense to me that he called their bluff and said, fine, do it. And they can't, because it's going to hurt every one of them that they cover. It's going to involve an investigation with the cover-up and all that shit. Whereas if he drops out and says, hey, I'm passing the torch, like he did.
Yep.
Like,
I mean, that was
they just
came out and
forced
said
his
that
hand.
he's doing it for the party, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he came out and said that, but again, the letter didn't have his signature on it. So I mean, I'm not.
No, I know.
I'm not using. Quit acting like that, you fucking cock.
What are you talking about?
I'm not.
That's literally my point, and you keep bringing that back up.
What I'm saying is, if he wants to stand and stay and fight, if it wasn't an agreement and he was just blackballed and they dropped that letter first, that's all I would have to do. I would have to say, that's not my signature. I never signed that.
Yeah, I don't think the letter was first, is what I'm saying.
But that's what you said earlier, isn't it?
No,
That they
no.
dropped the letter and said, your move. This is out now. If you come back and you say...
After they tried to blackmail him.
Sure.
And then he was fighting it, and then they dropped the letter. Like, what are you going to do?
But they did it without his approval, and
But
they
that's
said,
not-
what are
okay.
you going to do, right?
Sure, but yeah.
So if
it
he was
wasn't
still in the
first.
mindset of, I'm going to fight, right?
Yeah.
Then all he'd have to do is say, that's not my signature.
There's nothing he could do, though.
How?
With what?
All he
You
would...
had already said all of his money was gone.
Sure.
What was he going to do? The media? He was going to use the media that still fawns over Obama? Whose side are they going to take? He knows that.
But sure, listen, if you're
Yeah.
Joe Biden, you're like, okay, well, what I'm trying to say is, if you're Joe Biden and this gets out there, and you can point to that signature and say, hey man, I didn't sign this. This is not my doing. I still want to run. If he wants to run, he'd have to agree. Yeah, he's blackmailed into the agreement. But what makes more sense to me, I don't even know that it's blackmail, to be honest.
How?
I mean, don't.
How the hell is that
You're
not
looking at me.
blackmail?
You're looking at me like I'm crazy.
You are.
But listen, if Trump in say 5 years, he's 3 years into a term,
Yeah.
whatever, 3 years into a term, and he's on the cognitive decline, and somebody comes to him and says, listen, we may have to use the 25th Amendment to remove you from office because you're on the cognitive decline. We can't afford to have you be the presidential candidate. It's your choice. Everybody's on board to do it, and this is what we're going to do.
Here's the deal. We have Kamala's approval to invoke the 25th Amendment. How is that saying, listen, we don't want to, but this is what we're doing? That's blackmail. You will do this or we will do this.
Right, but this to me sounds almost like Adam Schiff, like with the whole Trump phone call speech, right? Here's the deal.
I don't think
See?
you can compare that guy to Adam Schiff.
No, I don't know what I can compare this guy to,
Yeah.
is what I'm saying, because I don't know if this is the real conversation. This is a inside source, just like Adam Schiff claimed he had, right? So I'm taking his credibility as a journalist and giving him that process, that leeway. Like, you're much better at this job than I will ever be. I'm going to trust you and your sources. But all I'm saying is, I think the easiest answer was they went to him and said, hey man, it's got to end.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
And the letter, I mean, I don't think they...
The letter's so fucked up that it just makes sense to me that it wasn't him.
Maybe. But, I mean, it's an equally easy answer to see that he's like,
Sure.
yeah, go ahead and send the letter
Yeah.
out. I don't want to fucking have any part of it. I'm dying over here. I'm sick.
Yeah.
If it was that big of an emergency and the press pool is saying it was that big of an emergency that he looked terrible and they were going to already...
I think if it was
if you have...
that big, he would have been at a hospital.
Well, if you
somewhere.
have Metro PD saying that they were scheduling a route to get
For
him
sure.
there as fast as possible, that was a thing. So we know that's a thing, right?
Yeah.
Article backs that up.
But then he didn't go to any hospital.
Correct.
Yeah.
He went and
That's
probably
what-
had doctors brought to him.
Right. But if it were that dire, he would have gone to one of the ones that they can control, like Walter Reed or whatever.
I don't even think because the press pool will be allowed there, right? So you're
Well,
eventually going to
They're not
have.
really allowed in there.
Not
they'd be able to be there, but
Right,
he had COVID. They already said they had COVID, so precautionary. That's easy to control, and they're your doctors. They're gonna put out whatever you want.
agree to disagree, man. You're putting on the conspiracy hat on this one, and I'm just gonna sit there and say that it was definitely, for me. I think the easiest answer is usually the right answer. Blackmail. Ugh.
Well, it was blackmail.
It was definitely for. This is what I hate this because it sounds like I'm like going left and right.
I know. I know. We can agree that he was blackmailed into it.
That was bad. Yeah.
Yeah. The where we disagree is on if that was just a completely fake letter or not, which is fine. Like, yeah, I'm fully aware that I'm putting on the conspiracy hat here. It's just not that much of a stretch to me to get where you were at.
What takes you there?
The whole whole point about it not being his signature. The 3 days before he said it, there was not a word out of him. It was one tweet.
But that
was it.
Sure, that's there. But I mean, what takes you there besides that? Take all that away. Is it just because you don't trust anything they say?
Well, yeah, that's a lot of it. And you've already got them blackmailing a sitting president.
Yeah.
So it's not, to me, going from the blackmail to the fake letter isn't that far. That's not like man, I can't believe we've gone this far. You've already blackmailed the sitting president. Like, it's not that much farther.
I mean,
it's just Microsoft Word.
That's
all it is. At that point, that's all it is. Just turn on your computer and type that bitch out. You find a signature of Joe Biden online and clip it in there.
You've already got formats made for you.
Yeah, man.
And he's just a potato. So, I mean,
yeah.
I don't know. I think more so I'm arguing because I don't want to be the one with the conspiracy hat on. I just
the one time.
I just want it to be you once. So
I honestly, give me that hat because I'm not sure. I don't know.
I told you before this I was going to pump you full of questions, and I just wanted to argue back. And well,
it's fun to argue. I like arguing.
Yeah, I know that about you.
Yeah, but I don't think they do because I haven't really.
Yeah, they do. Anybody who's listening to this works with us pretty much, and they know that.
Well, that's true. There's a few that don't, though.
Yeah, this is like I said. This is a really fucked up story.
No, that's what I'm saying. It's so fucked up that I don't think that's a big stretch. It's not like, I'm gonna go this far today. You're sitting at the same table, in my opinion. The blackmail. It's like
you're ordering. You're ordering from the same
file
menu.
cabinet. You open up the drawer, and it's just one more file backwards.
I got it. You're ordering from the same menu.
Yeah.
It's right next to it. I'm not going with it. I want you to be that guy.
You can do what you want. I'll welcome you in when we find out the letter's fake.
Well, when we find out it's true,
I'll give you the water's warm. Come on in.
If we find out that it's true, I'm just gonna.
Don't make bets that you're not going to pay.
Shut your mouth.
You still owe me a pizza.
That one, yeah, oh yeah. Okay, yeah.
I wasn't talking about the other one.
Yeah, I know you were. So shut your fucking mouth. I'm blushing.
I know.
Yeah.
And the dimples are out.
If we find out that you're right, I'm just gonna go back and say I knew it. I knew it all the time,
and I know you will.
Yeah, I knew it.
Yeah, I believed you. I just thought it'd be good for the podcast.
I'm just trying to argue to get you riled up.
It's not working. I can't believe you're not there. I think that's the shock for me. Is like, how the fuck are you?
I'm not. It's not that I'm not there. I'm just not. I'm trying to give the benefit of the doubt because of where everything is right now.
Yeah, for sure.
And I'm trying to.
It's a weird time.
It's not just a weird time. Like, we're so close to this being cascading out of control. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's scary. It's a scary time. Mm-hmm. So I don't want this to be real. It's more so, I do. Your points are valid. There's definitely the potential that this could happen. I don't want it to be true.
Yeah, listen, I also don't want it to be true. I just don't think it's that far of a stretch.
God damn it. Stop talking like that because I don't want to hear that. Like, I just want you to, here's what I want you to do right now. I want you to sit there and I want you to look across and be like, okay, Ben, that's it. That's the comforting thing.
That's not what I want to do.
I know. But that's what
I'm not comforting you.
That's what I want. I want to, like.
You want comfort, go home.
I don't get that there. Are you out of your mind? Like, we've had this conversation.
No,
Are you freaking kidding me? But that's what it is. It's I just, because if this article's real and the letter's real and everything that they did to push him out is real, where it takes us in the next like
Yeah, dude, it's
3
crazy.
to 4 months,
It's crazy.
This could get.
Just think about how we've progressed through election cycles.
It's
Like, what the fuck is going to happen next?
we're
time?
on a rocket ship right now, trying to figure out, heading in the wrong direction,
Yeah,
trying
we're
to
going
figure
the
out how
wrong
to
way.
stop the fucking rocket. You know what I mean? And I just, honestly, I'll be honest. If you're not a little bit scared by the shit that's going on,
For sure.
you're a fool. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
that's where I'm at. Like,
Yeah.
do I think you're right that you have a plausible theory there? Yes. Am I going to say
That's all I wanted to hear.
Is it what I think happened? I'm not going to say I think it's what happened.
But you're not saying it either.
I am hopeful. To me, what I said earlier makes more sense, and I'm justifying that with my
You're saying that in a very weird tone.
approach.
The more you think about it, the more you're coming to my side.
I'm not on your side.
Come on.
Nope.
Come on in.
I'm gonna.
Water's warm.
The water's. Nope. I won't do it.
All right, fine.
And then if we find out that it's true, then
Yeah, I said that the whole time.
I said
That's
that.
what you're gonna
I
say.
said that the whole time. It was.
Well, this will be on the internet, and that lasts forever.
Yeah. So all I have to do at the end is be like, I agree, and then see,
and
I'm
then
gonna cut.
Yeah, but I do the editing. So.
Yeah, sure, that part's gone. I told you.
Oh, I don't hear that anywhere on here.
Shit, that means I'll just have to comment on YouTube and stuff and say, I told you so. Yeah. But we should probably wrap this up.
Yeah, man.
That was a good one.
That was a good one.
It's, like I said, it's fucking scary to think that we've gotten this far. And I don't like it.
No, I know. Me too.
But it is what it is, and we're going to buckle up because I bet you the next couple months are going to be insane. I think September, October.
Well, yeah, what's going to be the October surprise?
I don't want to know. I don't.
I'm telling you.
Are there more?
The only thing this election's missing is a 269 tie.
Dude, and then a civil war to boot.
Yep.
Holy shit. I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know what the October. Can we handle an October surprise at this point?
I don't.
Whatever. We'll have to talk about that in another one because
No, I don't want to speculate on any October surprises.
my brain can't take it right now. I'm just to the
We've
point
gone
of
too far. Like, I don't think anything could top what has happened.
knock on wood.
No, I don't want to, because
Yeah,
it's be good for ratings.
What rated? 39 people. What
32.
ratings? 32 is it?
Yeah,
32?
maybe it'll get us to 39 though.
Yeah, let's shoot for 35.
35. Got it.
35 by next week.
Hey, find 3 people to follow us.
Yes, that's all we need.
That's it.
3 people at a
Then
time.
we can retire
Yeah.
with 35 people.
All right. Well, we're done here.
Yeah.
Thanks everybody for listening, and we'll catch you on the next one.
Yep. Follow us on our social media and our website, bluecollartakes.com. Thank you.
Yeah, buddy. All right. Bye.